Good morning, everyone. I'm Harley Schlanger from the LaRouche Organization with your daily video update for September 3rd, 2024. Let me begin by urging you to put on your calendar this Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time the next International Peace Coalition call, a Zoom call which you can join. This has been a discussion point that's been joined by many significant people. The discussions are wide-ranging, are taking up the key issues of war and peace in the world today. And I would urge you to join us and participate in that and bring others to it as we're building a movement as changes are taking place in the world. Let me start by just reminding you what was the lead story yesterday, which was the vote Sunday in two German states, Thuringia and Saxony, in which the voters decisively rejected the pro-war government of Chancellor Olaf Scholz and voted for anti-war parties. Now, there's a lot of confetti being tossed in the press. The New York Times basically was saying this is a right-wing revival, implying a new Nazi regime coming to power in Germany. If you actually understand the issues, you'll realize that the forces supporting Nazis are the forces supporting the war because of the commitment to protect the Ukrainian neo-Nazi regime in Kiev. Now, if you look at a breakdown of the results, it becomes clear that this was a rejection of the government's policies, which include pro-war, that is, Germany is one of the leading funders and suppliers of the Ukrainian army and the Ukrainian government. It's also anti-green. The economic policies of the current government have had a terrible effect on Germany, deindustrialization, the refusal to raise a stink about the destruction of the Nord Stream pipeline, which had provided cheap energy to Germany. And the loss of cheap Russian energy is a major factor in the decline in the German economy. So as a result of these policies, and also the fact that the German government continues to be allied with NATO, which is conducting wars throughout the global south, which are producing immigrants, and those immigrants are flooding into Europe. That's the other aspect of the support for the anti-coalition forces. And what it reflects is a recognition that the policies of the global north, typified by the transatlantic states, have been detrimental not only in the developing sector, producing these emigres, but for the advanced sector as well, both through deindustrialization and increasing the costs due to immigration. Now, in Thuringia, the pro-war faction lost big. The Christian Democrats, the leading opposition party, dropped 10%. Because they're pro-war. The Greens and the Free Democrats, two of the parties of the three coalition parties in the government, they failed to hit 5%, which means they're out of the local parliament. In fact, the totals for the three coalition governments, the Social Democrats, the Greens, and the SPD, the total vote was 10.4%. This is the governing coalition, 10.4%. While 61.7% went to the Alternative for Deutschland, which was the leading vote getter in Thuringia with 32.8%, the BSW, which is the Sarah Wagenknecht party, which got almost 16%, and it's a new party, it was just formed in February, and the Left Party, which is anti-war, 13.1%. Now, keep in mind, Thuringia is a historic cultural center. The people talk about that it's part of East Germany. It was part of East Germany. And there's a resentment among older populations in East Germany that the reunification did not live up to its promise of building a new economy for people. And many young people have left. However, it's not just that this is nostalgia for East Germany and the Stasi. There's a long historic cultural tradition in Thuringia, which includes the fact that Johann Sebastian Bach was born in Eisenach, which is a city in Thuringia, and that in Weimar you had the presence of both Goethe and Schiller, who often got together with friends, including the von Humboldts, to discuss how to take a series of broken states, smaller states and districts, and create a sense of a German nation. And this was a German nation of culture, of science, of richness in music and drama, of Lessing and Schiller. And the idea that a national movement in Germany is necessarily Nazi is a product of the brainwashing of the British after World War II. So keep that in mind when you hear these stories that this is a revival of right-wing Nazi policy with these votes. Now in Saxony, which includes Dresden as a major city, the CDU, the Christian Democratic Opposition Party, got 31.9%. The Alternative for Deutschland, 30.6%. So they're neck and neck. And Wagenknecht's party got almost 12%. Again, the pro-war faction of the coalition government received a total of 13.3%. So that gives you a sense of what happened with the vote. Now, the Schulz government is suffering from the fact that it's clearly functioning as a subordinated part of NATO and the European Union. That is no national policy, no policy for the benefit of the German citizens, unless you consider the possibility of nuclear war with Russia to be of benefit. Schulz stood there while Biden promised to make sure the Nord Stream pipeline would not come into effect and didn't raise a word about it. He also completely submitted to the idea that the U.S. will send long-range nuclear-capable missiles to Germany by 2026. And his defense minister, Pistorius, is saying that Germany must spend more money to become war-ready to fight Russia within the next couple of years. That's not the Germany of Schiller and Goethe, the Germany of Ostpolitik, of détente. And that's what people are reacting to. There are peace rallies that are happening again. The next one will be, well, and on September 1st, there were peace rallies in many cities, including larger ones in Berlin and Munich. Scott Ritter sent a video to address the crowd in Munich where he said he's going to make sure that the U.S. election includes the issue of stopping the nuclear confrontation with Russia as a major issue in the election. The next round of these meetings, the rallies rather, will be September 28th in Kingston, New York, and October 3rd, which is German Reunification Day in Germany. And keep in mind that what Ritter and others are addressing now is the effect of the new nuclear doctrine of Biden, which was announced in the New York Times on August 20th. No public discussion, just the announcement that we're about to prepare for nuclear war with Russia, China, and North Korea. Now, furthermore, there are protests developing on American college campuses, reminiscent of what happened last spring when the campuses were essentially battlegrounds between pro-war administrators who were obliged to support the war because the universities are major contributors to the military-industrial complex. And students were out protesting, and police were called in to smash them. The Congress issued a statement, I don't think it's a law yet, but tried to pass a law to say that any criticism of Israel is anti-Semitic. Now, if that's the case, what do you say about the 300,000 to 500,000, possibly more, Israelis who demonstrated Sunday and Monday against the Netanyahu government's refusal to negotiate for a ceasefire and a hostage deal? Are 500,000 Israeli citizens anti-Semites? So what we're seeing is instead an attempt to suppress free speech for the sake of war. Now, Netanyahu refuses to have a serious negotiation. The people of Israel realize that there's no future if you continue to have a suppression of the rights of Palestinians. In fact, the only way to have peace under that is what Netanyahu's calling for, which is to drive all the Palestinians out. But how do you then qualify as a liberal democracy, which the Israelis say they are, if you refuse basic human rights to a subject population that lives under your rule? And the question then is, what will the U.S. do? Will the U.S. continue to fund Israel and support Israel's war and genocide, or will there be a change? That's the topic that will be discussed this Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time at the Zoom call of the International Peace Coalition. Check with your LaRouche organization, your contact. Look at the Schiller Institute website so you can be a part of that discussion and bring people to it. There's a reawakening of a peace movement which may be too late. We're at the point of an escalation every single day toward World War III. But it's never too late to do what's right. So join us now, and tomorrow we'll have Simon Miller back for the Wednesday morning update.